It is the morning of March 20, 2004. A Vermont State Police trooper has just been dispatched to a report of an abandoned vehicle off Route 118 in Montgomery, Vermont. A rural stretch of road near the Canadian border, flat farmland on both sides, the kind of place where abandoned cars are not entirely unusual. He approaches the scene and stops. The green 1985 Oldsmobile Delta 88 sedan is not crashed against the wall of the abandoned old Dutchburn barn. It is backed against it, deliberately reversed into the building's foundation until the rear bumper lodged against the structure and the rear wheels lifted slightly off the ground. The car is angled and disabled. Someone put it here this way. The doors are unlocked. The keys are missing. Inside, the trooper finds a wallet. 2 unopened paychecks from the Black Lantern Inn addressed to Brianna Maitland. Clothes, migraine medication, contact lenses, a driver's license, everything a person needs, left behind. The trooper notes the abandoned vehicle and files his report. He does not immediately connect it to a missing person. For anybody who knows this area, a vehicle stopped abandoned on the side of the road is not unusual. But this car is not stopped. It is backed into a building. That is not the same thing. 3 days pass. On March 23, 2004, 4 days after Brianna Maitland finished her shift at the Black Lantern Inn and drove into the Vermont night, her mother Kelly files a missing persons report with the Vermont State Police. The 4-day delay costs the investigation a window it will never recover. Brianna Maitland has been missing for 22 years. Brianna Alexandria Maitland was born on October 8, 1986, in Burlington, Vermont, the daughter of Bruce and Kelly Maitland, who raised her on a solar-powered homestead in East Franklin, near the Canadian border. She grew up in the Green Mountains, learned jiu-jitsu, and by her own family's account was a fiercely independent, vivacious teenager who lit up every room she entered. She always was that way from the time she was, 2 or 3 years old. She was couch surfing, staying with different friends, working 2 jobs to maintain her independence, bussing tables at the Black Lantern Inn in Montgomery and working shifts at a diner in nearby St. Albans. She was not, by any account, a person who disappeared without explanation. That afternoon Brianna took her GED examination. That evening she went to work her shift at the Black Lantern Inn. She left the restaurant around 11:20 p.m. She was supposed to drive to Sheldon, Vermont, about 45 minutes away, where she was staying with her childhood friend Jillian Stout. She left a note for Jillian saying she would be back that night. Jillian was out of town and didn't see the note until days later. Brianna drove away from the Black Lantern Inn. She never arrived anywhere. When Brianna's car was found backed into the old Dutchburn barn the following morning, it was less than a mile from the Black Lantern Inn. The drive from the restaurant to that location takes approximately 2 minutes. At some point in those 2 minutes, in the darkness of a rural Vermont night, something happened that resulted in Brianna's car being specifically reversed into the wall of an abandoned building. The car's position is the most behaviorally significant physical detail in this entire case. It was not crashed. It was not spun. It was not skidded. It was backed, deliberately reversed, into the foundation until the rear bumper caught on the structure and the rear wheels lifted. That specific parking orientation requires intention. A car that crashes into a building does not end up backed against its foundation. Who was driving when it was reversed into that barn? But her keys were missing from the car. A person who reversed a car into a building and then left would either take their keys or leave them in the ignition. The keys were in neither location. If someone else reversed the car into the building, if Brianna was not driving, that implies someone with access to the car, knowledge of the location, and a reason to leave it specifically backed into a wall in a way that disabled it. That is a very specific set of behavioral requirements for a random encounter on a rural Vermont road. Because Brianna was couch surfing, moving between friends' houses rather than living at home, her absence from any single location did not immediately register as alarming. Her roommate Jillian Stout was out of town and didn't see Brianna's note until days later. Her family assumed she was with friends. Her friends assumed she was with family. The Vermont State Police trooper who found the car on March 20th, the day after she disappeared, filed his report and moved on. The car with 2 unopened paychecks inside, a wallet, medication, and personal belongings was noted as an abandoned vehicle rather than flagged immediately as a potential crime scene connected to a missing person. That specific failure, The gap between finding a car full of personal belongings and connecting it to a missing teenager is the most consequential dropped lead in the case's first 72 hours. By the time investigators understood that the car at the old Dutchburn barn was connected to a missing 17-year-old, the critical forensic window, when trace evidence is freshest, when witnesses remember most clearly, when surveillance footage is most likely to be preserved, had partially closed. 3 weeks before her disappearance, Brianna had been attacked at a party. She received 2 black eyes, facial cuts, a concussion, and a broken nose. She filed a criminal complaint. The specific circumstances of that assault and its potential connection to her disappearance were investigated and never publicly resolved. In April 2004, Vermont State Police raided a farmhouse on Reservoir Road in Berkshire, Vermont, rented by 2 drug dealers from New York City with connections to the rural Vermont social world Brianna moved through. The raid yielded narcotics linked to out-of-state traffickers. No trace of Brianna was found. The individuals involved were scrutinized extensively. The trail went cold. In 2006, a woman matching Brianna's description was reportedly seen at a casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The tip generated significant renewed interest. The woman was never identified. The lead produced nothing. In 2012, the FBI examined a possible link between Brianna's disappearance and serial killer Israel Keyes, who had been active in Vermont. The FBI ultimately ruled him out as a suspect. In the fall of 2020, the Vermont State Police Major Crime Unit partnered with Othram Inc., a Houston-based forensic laboratory specializing in advanced DNA analysis, to re-examine evidence from Brianna's case. An item had been recovered from the ground near Brianna's car. DNA had been extracted from it. That DNA had been entered into CODIS, the FBI's combined DNA index system, and compared against known profiles without producing a match. Othram applied forensic-grade genome sequencing to build a more complete DNA profile and conducted genealogical research to develop investigative leads. In March 2022, Vermont State Police announced the result. The DNA matched one of 11 persons of interest who had previously been investigated in connection with Brianna's disappearance. The announcement produced an immediate and devastating qualification. There was not enough evidence to consider the identified person a suspect. They had been cooperative with investigators. The match existed. The case did not move forward. A DNA identification that produces a cooperative person of interest but not a suspect is the most specific and most frustrating dropped lead in this investigation. I think that the answer lies somewhere. I think that we just haven't either asked the right question or we haven't asked the right person yet. This is not a cold case. It is an unsolved case. That distinction, not cold, but unsolved, is the most precise possible statement of where this case stands. The investigation is active. The DNA match exists. The person of interest has been identified. The answer is somewhere. Brianna Maitland has been missing for 22 years. On February 9, 2004, 38 days before Brianna Maitland left the Black Lantern Inn, Maura Murray crashed her car on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire, told a bus driver not to call police, and disappeared into the New Hampshire night. Both were young women. Both left from a nighttime routine, a work shift and a late-night drive. Both had cars found in strange circumstances on rural northern New England roads. Both disappeared without witnesses. Both have never been found. Both have active FBI involvement. Both have DNA evidence that has not produced a suspect. The geographic proximity, Montgomery, Vermont and Haverhill, New Hampshire are approximately 100 miles apart, and the temporal proximity, 38 days, have sustained speculation about a connection for 22 years. Private investigator Greg Overaker, who has worked the Maitland case for years and published a book titled The Hunt for Brianna Maitland, has argued that the two cases share a connection and claims to have a suspect. Vermont State Police and the FBI have investigated the connection and have not publicly confirmed it. Whether the cases are connected or not, their proximity, 2 young women, 2 rural New England roads, 38 days apart, both vanished without a trace, is the most haunting coincidence in either investigation and the one detail that has kept both cases in the public consciousness far longer than each might have sustained alone. The disappearance of Brianna Maitland presents a behavioral analysis structured around a single physical detail, the car backed into the barn, and a single evidentiary detail, the DNA that matched but couldn't convict. Both details point toward the same conclusion and both refuse to confirm it. Begin with the backed car. Behavioral analysts who study vehicle evidence in missing persons cases consistently identify three categories of vehicle positioning at abandonment sites: accidental, deliberate by the victim, and deliberate by a third party. The old Dutchburn barn positioning falls most consistently into the third category. A car reversed against a building foundation until the rear bumper catches and the rear wheels lift is a car that was placed rather than stopped. That placement requires knowledge of the location. You don't accidentally back into a specific abandoned building on a specific rural Vermont road. It requires access to the vehicle, and it produces a disabled car that cannot be easily moved, which implies the person who positioned it wanted it to stay where they put it. The missing keys are your most diagnostically significant behavioral indicator. A person who legitimately parks a car, however strangely, takes their keys or leaves them in the ignition. Brianna's keys were in neither location. Keys that are missing from both the car and the owner are keys that were taken. By whom, and why, and where they went, is the question the investigation has been asking for 22 years. The couch surfing lifestyle and the 4-day reporting delay are the behavioral elements that most directly shaped the institutional response. A teenager who was not expected at any fixed location on any fixed schedule created a disappearance that didn't register as a disappearance for 4 critical days. That delay, the natural consequence of a lifestyle built around independence and mobility, gave whoever was responsible for Brianna's disappearance 4 days before anyone was officially looking. The assault 3 weeks before her disappearance is the behavioral context that most directly precedes the crime. A person who was physically attacked, who filed a criminal complaint, and who then disappeared, in a small community where the people involved in the assault and the people involved in the local drug scene and the people who knew Brianna's routine were a significantly overlapping population, implies a specific social world where being seen and being known created the conditions for being targeted. The DNA match is your most specific and most frustrating behavioral dead end. DNA found near Brianna's car matched one of 11 previously investigated persons of interest. That person cooperated. That person was not charged. The behavioral calculus of a cooperative person of interest who produces a DNA match but not a prosecution is one of the most specific. Investigative paradoxes your channel has examined. It implies either that the match is coincidental, that the evidence is insufficient despite the match, or that the investigation knows more than it can publicly disclose. All three possibilities remain viable. Bruce Maitland has spent 22 years thinking about his daughter every day. March 19th is a very rough day for me, he told reporters. I've learned, over the years, to cope. I miss Brianna a lot. I think of her every day, still. But you have to figure out how to make life move on. He founded Private Investigations for the Missing in 2018, a nonprofit providing investigative resources to families of missing persons, because a father who couldn't find his own daughter decided he would help other families find theirs. The reward is $40,000. The DNA exists. The answer is somewhere. The car was backed into that barn, deliberately, by someone who knew where they were going and what they were doing. That person has never been named.